There's an old saying in gardening that 1 year gone to seed can mean 7 years of weeding, and that's not far from the truth when it comes to some of these spring weeds that you'll find in our area. And one of those that's very familiar to you, I'm sure, is the cleavers, named because it does cleave to your clothing. It has tiny hairs that are hooked, so it sticks on to both your clothing and your pet's fur. Now, this one tends to grow in wooded areas. It's not particularly picky about being in wet or dry soils. It will grow in sun or shade, but as it grows, it gets longer and longer. Then it starts to bloom, and then it'll put on very fine, hairy seeds. And at that point, it becomes very easy as it starts to bloom to just pull out. So I use a small rake and just rake it out of wooded areas and areas of stone outcroppings and things and collect it. Now, if it has gone to seed, I won't put it in the compost pile, but if it hasn't yet, I can put it in the compost pile and it decomposes very nicely. Another plant that's very common in the spring is chickweed. This one, like the cleavers, is actually a medicinal plant. It has a lot of vitamin C and calcium and magnesium and other nutrients, so it's used as a spring tonic often, but it is very prolific at seeding. It can often, after the white flowers come, one plant can produce 2,500 to 15,000 seeds. Birds like the seeds, so they will spread it around for you, and it often grows in recently disturbed soil, so it can really take over in new gardens. It also can spread vegetatively, so as these stems lie on the soil, they can root and form very large mats. And so you'll definitely want to dig the chickweed out as quickly as you possibly can. Another one that you'll see a lot in the spring is this one, henbit. It's a member of the mint family. It's a lamium, and it has the square stem that's typical of all of the mint family, and seeds as prolifically as many of the mints do too. It has these lovely purple flowers, so it is quite attractive in the spring. But if you want to enjoy it while it has the blooms, fine, but make sure you mow it before it has a chance to go to seed. Now, some of the things I like to use to take out weeds, for some of these type weeds that don't have the deep taproot, just a fork, if there are weeds growing next to your pansies or other plants that you don't want to disturb the roots too much, a little kitchen fork can do a great job of digging those weeds out. Even a longer barbecue fork that you pick up at a garage sale makes a great weeder. But for some of the deeper taproot type plants, I like to use a very strong weeder, and I like one that's got a bent head on it. It just tends to get under those weeds quite nicely. Another great tool is the weed popper for some of the deep taprooted weeds too. So look for that one. It's a great investment. Now, some of the weeds with the deep taproots would include the sow thistle, very common in our gardens. It tends to form a low mat at first, and then it will have these taller spikes with the yellow flowers. Now, this one does attract ladybugs. It will often get aphids on it. Ladybugs will come in and start feeding on the aphids, so you may want to leave one or two of them in your garden area just to attract those beneficials, but keep the flowers picked off. And another one that tends to be very common in our area in the spring is the wild carrot, and the tops do just look like the carrots that we grow in our garden, and it has a long, deep taproot. The problem with this one, although it has a really pretty white flower, the seeds are very sticky and stick to your pet's fur and become a big problem. So with any of these, if you can't get to pulling them out by hand, at least mow them, weed eat them, and get them before they go to seed, so you're not weeding them for years and years and years. Now, a good book for a reference about weeds, if you need some help identifying, is the Gardener's Weed Book by Barbara Pleasant. It has great drawings in it that will help you identify weeds and get them out while they're small. So make sure you pay attention to those weeds so you're not dealing with 7 years of seeds.